being here. The planning meeting for the, whoops, was that me?
That's the code.
No? There we go. Nope. No. No, I'm good. Okay. And I got myself muted or something. I didn't even go to the board. You got it? Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started with the planning meeting for the Wilkinsburg School for the month of November 2022, I'd just like for us to take a moment of silence to remember two precious students that we lost this month. We've done a lot of thinking and reflecting on that, but still, we can just take another moment to think about them and their families and all the people whose hearts are broken, including our staff, kids.
Actually, I keep one of my cards.
We really want to thank the board members and all of our friends and the members of the community and our faculty and staff who just pitched in to do everything that needed to be done to just get us through those really tough first days, especially as well as we possibly could. So thanks everybody. It really felt like a family. All right, we have a really busy agenda tonight with some exciting things on it. I would remind everyone that Wilkinsburg residents are welcome to make comments or on items on the agenda as we come to them, and there will be an open comment period at the end of the meeting for something that wasn't on the agenda. We would ask that you identify yourself, name and address, where you live in Wilkinsburg when that time comes.
Excuse me, Mr. Gone. The mother of the children was in today. It was the one child's birthday. And she expressed to Carrie, myself, and Shorty how thankful she was for the support of the school district.
Really?
She brought in treats for the classroom today. And she's really having a rough time. I don't know if Carrie can speak to that. But she was in the school today, and she did want to thank the district and the building and all the support she's received from Wilkinsburg.
Yeah. The board did receive a couple of emails and text messages of thanks, but thanks for letting me know that.
It's his birthday today.
Thank you for that. Holy cow. That's going to be a very rough thing, not just for the family, but all right. So let me see here. I'm gonna have a hard time seeing this. Mr. Cray's presentation about the update on construction will be next week. So that's on the agenda, but we won't be having that. So we're going to move right into Dr. Malushik. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, the data presentation from PSSAs.
Yes. Right now, we have to tell the board twice a year we'd like to give you some data from PSSAs and our local assessments. So we did get some PSSA information back. We just got PVAS back, and there's been some hold up. I got an email last week about some hold up on building level information. But we got some general information for you. And I know for Deb, we made sure we went back 2 to 3 years. And then in the March timeline, we can give our local assessment data that we give in the buildings, and that way you can see what we're doing to get ready for the PSSAs. And so, not that the data is the end all be all, but you'll see, there's definitely positives, but we also have room to grow, which we always will. We'll never be satisfied. So I appreciate the math and the ELA coaches for putting the information together. And if you guys want to go ahead and begin. Who's up first, math or the ELA?
Math.
Math? Yeah, can you pull it up? And then they're gonna, do they have the clicker? Or
Jermaine, do you have the pointer?
It's on there. There should be a pointer on there. Do you know how to use it, Mr. Quinn?
No, I do not.
Got that.
What is this?
Really?
I know if
So,
it's gonna launch.
Left,
plane
right,
or-
and there's the pointer. The red.
Oh, the red one.
One who don't work very good with screens.
I see that. I see that.
Okay. All right, first off, I'd like to thank the board for having us out this evening. I'm Darren Cole. I've been in the district, for those of you who do not know me. I think my 26th year in the district. My partner in crime here, Michael, been here how many years?
This is my 20th year.
So you can see we're invested in the district, and we're here tonight to share with you the PSSA math data that we have from 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 21, 22. Okay. So basically, we have 4 different years of reporting here. We had 2018, 19, 1920, the PSSAs were canceled due to the pandemic, so there's nothing on there for 1920. 2021, we were in virtual/hybrid mode, so that's the year it was all really screwed up with the pandemic. And then we have last year's results on there of 21, 22. In last year's results also, we had 37 virtual students at that time. So within those results are 37 students that were still doing virtual learning at home, with most of the students in person. So basically, you can look back to 2018, 19. You can see where we fell as far as math and advanced, proficient, basic, and below basic. And like I said, nothing in 2019, 20. 2020, 21, you can see our below basics went from 46% to 57% below basic after a pandemic year. Our basic went from 32.4 to 27.2. And our proficiency went from 18 to 12% proficient. Math pretty much in advanced stayed the same. With 21, 22, still having 37 students in virtual, which is a good deal of many students that were tested that year that were in virtual. We did make some measurable growth. You can see our below basic went from 57.9% in the virtual hybrid year to 49.7%. And our basics grew. The red don't go on there now. And our basic grew from 27.2% to 35.1%, and our proficiency went up slightly. So what we can see with the snapshot there is, but we went basically from 57.9, almost 58% below basic. We moved a number of those students into the basic category, even after a virtual/hybrid year and 37 students in virtual for 21, 22. You can see in the green there where we had our growth for 21, 22. Any questions, anything? Deb's always good to come up with one.
Well, math is still a challenge for us, so.
Right.
um,
And that's why we looked at some things, and you'll see later on in the slides, some things that we've changed
mhm.
at the district and at our building levels to address these needs.
We have a whole new program.
Right. Well, yeah, we'll-
It's our first year of the program,
Right.
so.
Right. So we'll go into that too, but I mean, across the state of Pennsylvania, math is down. Whether it be the pandemic, whether it be, just the tests getting harder. It's down across the whole state, and all districts are reporting that, but it doesn't matter. We're not making excuses. We know we have work that needs to be done, and we're gonna try to do that work. We'll continue to address that as we move on.
Karen, do we have the numbers of how many students actually took the exam?
You gotta remember too, in the year 2021, students didn't have to take the test. A lot of parents opted them out during that virtual/hybrid year. So our numbers really, the state said those numbers in 2021 really don't matter. They said they weren't maybe held against us in 2021. I believe last year, Mike, we were about what, 100?
We were a little bit 190, 200, somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere around.
Like face to face, there might have been even more, maybe 230. Because we had 37 virtual, so.
Yeah. We can get you those numbers as to how many students took the test. But in 2021, we know that a lot of parents opted out of the testing that year because of the virtual/hybrid model, or they didn't, they didn't want their children coming in to take the test. So with that being said, we can
Just-
get you the numbers for 21, 22.
Just one comment, and I promise I'll be quiet after this because I've monopolized the preview that I got. So if you look at 1920, when there was no testing, and 2021 being a weird year because of the kids who weren't in school, Deb, what I found helpful was to compare 18-19 to 2021 and see how much did we regain. You know what I mean? How much of the loss have we recovered? And as we go through it, that's, to me at least, that was the most important thing to look at,
Sure,
But I
because-
also, if not everyone had to take it in 2021, it's good
That-
to know
those
how many
numbers are-
students, yeah,
Yes,
actually did take it.
In 2021, I think we were down almost 50 or 60 students, like, that did not take.
Sure.
Yeah. Because they gave an option too, that you could take the test in the spring if you wanted to. You could have not taken it when we took the test, or you can come back the following year. And our 7th graders would have had to take the Westinghouse, and they just chose not to take
Yeah, I
it.
remember it was a very confusing.
It was. So with that being said, basically, we can find out for 2021, 22. But I know this year we're down, our virtual numbers are down, so most of the kids are in person learning. So we look for growth there, so. Next slide, Mike.
Do we have it here?
Yep. There's everything on there.
How do you advance the slide, Dr. Joe? I'm sorry.
Should be the right button, is it not working?
Yeah, I've did it a few times.
There you go.
I guess I'm squeezing hard. Okay, so this slide is showing you the same data as the previous one, disaggregated by grade level. So the top row going across of numbers is 3rd grade, 18-19. But this time advanced, proficient, basic, low basic goes from left to right instead of down. And then you can see the numbers broken down in 2021 and then in 21, 22. So we can see maybe where we can focus a little bit more efforts where maybe kids are struggling a little bit more, or where we can celebrate some victories. So what Darren was talking about, the COVID year, we'll call it, when there was no testing, those 3rd grade scores, it's gonna show up here. No, not really. Yeah, it doesn't show up on there.
oh, I wish I
So
had.
the very first numbers there, 3.5% upper left-hand corner. Those numbers there would correlate then down 2 rows in the middle column where it says 0, 23.8, 38.1. So those 3rd graders, and it's not the exact same kids, would have some of the same kids in this longitudinal data.
Right, so it's 3rd graders now down in the 5th grade.
Into the 5th grade, and then in,
2021.
which would correspond to the 6th grade in green, in that lower right corner. So there was a little bit of drop, maybe because we went from a little bit advanced to none, and then there was some drop from 5th to 6th. Here, under the 6th grade is where the content changes a little bit. And
And 4th grade's always an adjustment also, because in 3rd grade, the students are working in one book. They don't have to transpose their answers. In 4th grade, we now go to 2 books where they have to transpose their answer from book A to book B. So those are test taking skills that we could work on too, as coaches with them to get them to transpose it. Because if they're missing, they go off by 1, their whole answers are skewed.
Right.
Basically, in 3rd grade, they're working in one book, they turn the page, they answer the question. Now they got to take their answer from this booklet and put it into this booklet. So that's 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Mr. Coulter, you can use the mouse to point at the screen.
I can use the mouse.
The mouse that's in front of you.
Oh,
Just don't click.
oh,
Oh, great.
all right. So we were talking about these numbers up here. Thank you, Jermaine. These numbers up here correspond to these ones down here.
In 20.
But they're not the exact same kids. And like Darren was saying, some kids were here, and that's why you asked for numbers, because there may be far less.
Right.
Also, kids move out, kids enroll. So these numbers down here, I know our 6th grade class last year was pretty small. We only had three homeroom teachers at that point, right? Yeah, so this is a little bit of a smaller sample size here, which can affect the numbers. I will say, Darren, we talk about this a lot, that the virtual year, it was a little bit harder for kids to learn mathematics as opposed to how to read and comprehend what they were reading, just because math is innately more hands-on than reading.
Some are just
So we did see some.
45 students in 6th grade.
That includes the online kids as well, actually.
Right.
So, 231 took the test.
Oh, in 21,
In
22.
last year, yeah, that sounds about right.
with the online.
I know there were under 200 for sure. I'm not sure where we topped out that year. There were a lot of things that the state told us that we didn't even have to turn in. They just want, because at first that we weren't expected to test at all. And neither was anyone else. And then all of a sudden, the new Secretary of Education in Washington said, well, now we still want to see how things went. We said, okay, so the state gave us a lot of grace as to how we would test. Do you want to bring them all in at the same time? Maybe do a staggered schedule. We took 6 weeks to get them all tested because we didn't want to have more than 7 or 8 kids in the classroom at that time. They were still wearing masks. It was interesting. So do you have any other questions on just the disaggregate data, longitudinal? We can go on to the cohort data if you'd like. All right.
Next slide basically is the cohort data. Basically, these are the students that are currently in the 5th grade. This shows how they did it in the 3rd grade and the 4th grade. So you basically want to read, like Mr. Donovan said, from the bottom up. Those students were 2.6% in 3rd grade, 0% advanced in the 4th grade. Once again, I mean, 17.9 proficient in the 3rd grade, 2.5 in the 4th grade. 25.6 basic to 22.5 basic in our below basic. This is where we know we need to focus the work. And we just, it is what it is as far as the numbers. And we know that the 4th grade is a rough year for them mathematically, and that's what we're going to do.
Historically, it has been.
And just to give you a heads up, and you'll see as we go through this, but even when you see those numbers, we did, according to PDE, make adequate growth in math. So we did make adequate. So they go into it a lot deeper. So they give you a chart that shows you whether you're well below, or met, or above, or well above, and we actually are in the green that we did meet it.
I think our SPP score
The
was like,
PBOS.
Yeah.
Yeah, for PBOS.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean you're proficient.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's
Yep.
true.
We have a lot of, we
it's-
could be
it's
showing
the growth.
green making progress on the PBOS, but we're
Yep.
still not going to be proficient.
right, it was 62.8, I think was our school
Yeah.
score. And we compared to a number of districts in our meeting last week that, are a lot lower than us as far as their SPP score. But we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and this also, we had a high, far higher than any other grade level. 4th grade, we had a lot of online students in 4th grade. Not to say that online was a waste of time. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the disconnect between paper pencil test and online learning was a bit more apparent there for those kids.
For everybody, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
just watching, I would have my niece at my house sometimes, at school, and I would be like, this is not, this isn't school, so I can imagine. I did have a question though, just specific, because I feel like it's just a trend, and what you all have already stated from students from 3rd grade to 4th grade. I'm assuming testing is going to be similar with this 1 book to 2 book, whatever that
Yeah.
process is, which clearly from my perspective is vague, I don't really understand it, but you all do. So is that like a focus?
We should be a little bit more specific on. So what it is 3rd grade, because they're young and it's the first time they're taking a standardized test, the math problem's there and their choices are right there in the book. And they color in the bubbles literally right there where the questions are. But to make things easier for the company that we outsource, this Pennsylvania taxpayers, starting in 4th grade, they transfer into an answer booklet. It's a whole lot cheaper and a whole lot less,
Got it.
it's easier to just, they're going to basically pull the staples out, run the test right through a scanner. 3rd grade booklets are very thick.
Got
And so I think it's
So the 4th grade's 2
the
books.
practicality of it.
And if they
So
don't,
it's a transfer
if they
into
skip a
another.
question in there,
If you make one mistake, everything after that is,
Right, and I guess in regards to test taking, what does that look like from a classroom management perspective for our teachers to, I guess, I don't even know how you oversee that, but is there something to like, because that.
well, with active monitoring, we have active monitoring in the classrooms at all time, and they are teaching that, as far as, transposing the answers from sheet A to sheet B.
But the test, because of test security, if you notice that a child has answered A and C on a particular question on their bubble sheet, and you know they're gonna miss it, you're not allowed to point it out to them. That's against the, you can't do that. And you're, all we're allowed to really do is make sure they're testing in the right section. They have to be completely self-guided to look at their bubbles and make sure, did I erase something completely if I wanted to change it? Did I? And so, yeah, maybe we need to be a little bit more specific, laser focused on giving them some practice on
I was going to say that.
just
'cause-
filling out
Yeah.
a survey and
Yeah,
then
I've got-
coloring in those bubbles.
Yeah, I've got time before I have a third grader, but if, as a parent, if I know my kid's gonna take a test and that's like it's a logistics thing that they, like, it's something that I'm, as a parent, I could be willing to support my kid at home on to
Mhm.
understand that, because, you know, you just gotta I think things when they're repetitive to a kid in their head, they're like, okay, wait, let me make sure if this is matching this. Because someone has to just reiterate that, and as teachers, you already have in school, so.
That's why Darren mentioned way up front about working on test taking skills.
Yes.
You know, for them this year coming up.
Definitely.
But here's some positive we'd like to point out to you. These are our current sixth graders right now. As you can see, in fourth grade, they were 0% proficient. I'm 0% advanced, went to 2.4, which is a growth. They went from 0% proficient to 11.9 in fifth grade. The biggest jump you'll see right here is 18.4 in the basic category in fourth grade, 64.3. So if you put that all together, 64.3, 11.9, and 2.4, you're going to come up with almost 78% in basic, proficient, and advanced in fifth grade. It's working in the fifth grade with 21.4% below basic. So those are some major growths that you read from the bottom up from our current sixth grade is where they are right now in seats, from where they went from fourth grade to fifth grade, and now they're in sixth grade.
All right, so for students that are no longer in the district, the program that we use as kind of like, we'll call it a data mining program. It's great. It has everything in there about students. It puts it all in one parcel. You can look up demographics, you can look up attendance, you can look up test scores, all kinds of things. Once students move out of the database for the current school year, it doesn't have cohort data. So we did put longitudinal math data up here for our current seventh graders, even though they aren't physically in the building here or the buildings. So it does kind of show trends, maybe that they've dropped off a little bit with they were at 22% proficient here as third graders. Remember, these aren't the exact same kids. This was the year that we had where they were at home most of the time. Come back last year, we did pilot a new mathematics program, but I know that the content tends to ramp up at the sixth grade level, and so we want to make sure that as coaches we're supporting. And we are. We'll continue to do that with our sixth grade staff as far as math goes. But we now have an extra math interventionist that is working. Yeah. So we'll get
When he
into
said
how we're supporting the numbers though.
When he said we piloted it, we did have our sixth grade math pilot, a program that we possibly was one of the considerations that we may adopt. We ended up not adopting that one. Right?
We ended up not. Yeah. But that's a good point to make. Thank you, Dr. Okay.
You skipped them.
Well, I guess I pushed it twice and it's too patient. I feel like a lag.
So in the K in first grade, we have the new standard line curriculum with new core and vision program. That's the one we were talking about. It's called Envision Math. We have updated our standard aligned common assessments. So basically all the teachers are doing the same assessments in each classroom based on the Envision program with the standard aligned common assessments. So all the assessments are the same across the board. And they also have my support in the K and the 1. Notice the focus was last year was on the upper kids with 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we are going to support the K and 1. We're pushing back into the kindergarten and first grade classrooms as a math coach for support.
Okay. So in second through sixth grade, this is basically what's going on at Turner. Same thing as at Kelly Primary. We are aligned completely K to 6 with the same Envision program. We have not had that, and you all, if you were here last April, you heard me talk a lot about this, how we didn't have anything that was straight through using the same core curriculum. We now have a 90-minute math block that we do have students grouped by an achievement level that is flexible. We used PSSA data that we got for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders to kind of put them together with kids that scored similarly so we could try to meet their needs in a focused core classroom. We also then are using Acadian data as we get new kids into the district. Just tested a student today just to see what can he do, where would he fit in best. So we now also have a math interventionist that was hired over the summer, one of our teachers, 5th grade. She's working with a couple groups every day from each grade level for half an hour extra. This is a lot of it's beyond their math time, to try to go back and kind of help them understand and get some number sense on things maybe they've missed. I see a lot of good things going on with that. I'm pushing in, and so is Mr. Cole, also at Turner, because he's there some of the time, into the tier 3 classroom. Tier 3 is just a way of saying kids that's got a lot of catch up to do. And so a lot of times when I'm in there, I'm giving a quick mini lesson to someone who's struggling with a particular skill. I sit with a small group of kids. I'm adding into a lesson, or I see something that would enhance the kids' learning because I know how I've done it in the past and it works. Again, at Turner, we have updated common assessments. They are actually using the one straight from the program to see how effective it is. And these are a lot more comprehensive than the ones we've had in the past. And teachers are actually kind of finding they're getting a better understanding of what the kids can and can't do. Also at Turner, I think as well at Kelly, they do have after school program. And so they're getting some extra instruction in math for the kids that are enrolled in that. And then of course we do have summer school that's offered to students at Turner and at Kelly. And of course, as things come along, we'll communicate those in a future presentation.
And we're hoping the advanced, even before you see past years, has always been a little bit lower. We're hoping we can address that because, I mean, I've noticed, and this has been my pet peeve in every district, where we weren't enriching sometimes, and that's where parents can get frustrated. So we've done training on project-based learning activities. So at the core level, the level 3, DOK level 3, Defadol is level 1 and 2, but we weren't getting to that 3 and 4. So hopefully by doing that, some of our students can get to more students to the advanced level too. So more enrichment activities, you know, to where some of our students are still at that level 1 and 2.
Do the common assessments that are being used, do they mimic the PSSA at all as far as the process of what, you know, of how a student has to take the PSSA? So are those common assessments that we're doing, do they?
More so now than
Before, yeah, they're laid out. They're laid more laid out like PSSA now. Yes, the way a question is formulated and everything.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm assuming the updated standards are the state standards, not.
Yes.
That's what we're looking at the court. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So the common, the standards have been that. But when we had, and you weren't here last week, when we had Go Math given to us years back, it was aligned loosely, but the idea of Common Core is to give a better understanding to students by making it deeper and narrower focus. While curriculum companies scrambled and just put every kind of way to multiply some numbers in there. Teach it this way. Next day, teach it this way. Teach it. That's not what it was. The idea was, and so that's what that program presented. And teachers were supplementing it to testing grades, and we were kind of all over the map. We needed something that was, and this program that we adopted is the second version of it. They made a lot of adjustments based on feedback from teachers, districts, parents.
And Go Math, the one we had was updated in 2015.
Okay.
So that's when our series was from 2015.
Yeah.
So that was already on. That is enough, Mike?
I'm good. I don't think there's any more.
And I think after looking at these scores, I think you see why we had to make an adjustment last year with our math program. I mean, we saw that, we saw the deficiency right away. They saw it right away. So.
All right, good.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Do you guys want to introduce yourself? Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Amy Tassadori. I've been with the district for 25 years. I am new to the reading coach role in Kelly Primary this year, but I'm not new to reading or the district. And this is Rebecca Coyle. She's our literacy coach at Turner. So my 5th year in the district. She's an American data person, so. And in the primary, we don't do the PSSAs, of course, but, we are always looking at ways to improve reading instruction so that we can help out once they get up to Turner. So we have the data for the last 3 years, just like that. Pretty much laid out the same. The format is actually the same, so it'll be easy to follow. So what do I do with this?
He's actually, you have it as a PDF, so he's gonna have to control it. Do you need the pointer?
No, it didn't really work much anyway.
Yeah, okay. But you can still use you'll still be able to use that.
That pointer. Does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What?
What, it looks like slides.
Google slide or?
Someone told me to send it as a PDF, so.
Oh, you send it as well.
I just scroll down on mine.
Yes.
Scroll down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm not
okay,
good
no worries.
technology.
No worries.
We'll get through it. Yeah.
Oh, that does look different. It's a PDF. Sorry.
Does it?
Just, yeah, I can make it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing, starting in 2018-19, obviously before the pandemic. So those scores are what they were for the in-person learning. PSSA was canceled during the pandemic. And then, so we're looking at the last 2 years basically, but 2020, 2021, we were virtual and hybrid. So the scores dipped a bit in advanced and proficient, but if you look at this past year, when we were back in person full-time for the first time, everything that's highlighted in green is an improvement. So that's, actually a lot of improvement for a very short period of time. So we're pretty proud of that district-wide.
And this is the district-wide, this is an aggregate, everybody.
And then this is longitudinal data. So this goes across the years. Obviously, this doesn't, these aren't the same students. This is just what 3rd grade looks like from year to year. And, if you could imagine that little block in between the 18, 19, 20, 21, because we didn't have anything there. So again, really comparing the last 2 years. And, if we look down to 6th grade in particular, there's some big advances there in advanced and proficient, big decline in basic and a decline in below basic. So again, across the board, that was a success.
Sixth grade looks great. I know that, but I'm really concerned about 4th grade, both math and reading. So.
Yeah, 4th grade, I mean, that is kind of a year where there's a lot of transition, even with the reading, like the math was saying. So, in 3rd grade, they do a lot of narrative and things like that. And then they jump to expository, more citing evidence, things like that in 4th grade. So that's a big jump for the students. But they do usually catch up there shortly after 5th and 6th grade.
It's probably really tough to teach that virtually. also. I would imagine that what you just described is harder to do when you're not with them.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it would be. So this is our cohort reading data. So it looks the same as math, just showing like the last couple of years. So the 5th grade students now, when they were in 3rd to 4th, you know, again, a little bit of a dip there in advance, but they weren't terribly advanced to begin with. But, you know, we never want to lose percentages. Kind of holding steady at proficient. And again, you know, our basic is our largest percentages there, but lower and below basic.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that same grade we were talking about. But the 6th grade, which was 5th grade last year, and you know, 4th grade when we came back, 2020, 21, actually went up a little bit in our advance, so that's encouraging. Proficient went up a good bit, 12.2 to 30.9%. Basic again in the 50s, but look at the drop in below basic. So that's showing movement in the right direction. Any other questions?
Is it possible for all of these, whether it's math or reading in any of these, to get the number of students that we're talking about? Because I mean, 1.8% could be one kid.
For the cohort, you mean?
Yeah, for all of them, for all of the slides, it would be nice to know how many students are in each of those.
Yeah, because the percentage, depending on how many kids,
Yeah, it just doesn't mean much to me,
We could get those.
especially for the year that they were hybrid, yeah, where they did, and they didn't have to take the exam.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if half the kids didn't take the exam, that doesn't,
Go. Yep.
yeah, the percentages.
Yeah. The actual number.
Yeah.
We could. We have those numbers.
Just that one year, the 21, 22.
That's right.
Because I think we could redo the slide and send them out with those numbers on.
Just put the numbers on. That would help.
Yep.
Move on.
And then we did include the longitudinal reading data also for our 7th graders this year, which, you know, obviously aren't here anymore, but last year, that was the big jump we saw on that one slide that was commented on about the 6th grade.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive, because even if you look down at the bottom from 2018-19, when things were status quo with all schools, we still made a big jump from there to coming back in person.
Yep.
So there's something happening really good in
Yeah.
6th grade there. So
Yeah. Like to see that below basic get smaller.
Right.
right.
That is the goal.
Yeah. So any questions on that for the 7th graders that were here last year as 6th graders?
Question, just, and I don't know if this is a summer question, but I know we partner with PPS, but is there a way we can get our kids, they take more tests when they go to Westinghouse, right? Do we get that testing data too, to look at how they're doing when they're there? Because I'm just curious to see that.
Like how that carried over, if they kept that up.
Yeah, the PPS scores, what am I trying to say? They segregate our kids out so that we can get scores just for the Wilkinsburg kids at Westinghouse compared to the whole student body at Westinghouse.
Right, because I want to see if our kids are still growing when they get there or if they're declining. I mean, I want to see it either way.
We could try and get that.
Yeah.
Who said that?
Summer.
Oh, she did say that already?
Thank you, Summer.
You're welcome. Sorry I couldn't be there this evening.
Take care of yourself.
But they don't test in every. And that's the keystone exams once they,
Well, yeah, right.
I don't remember.
Okay.
They didn't have them at that.
Go under the old system.
Yeah, it's not it.
Do you need the last slide? You good?
That's just what we're doing to try and boost
The instruction and intervention.
just the things that we're doing in the classrooms.
What's tiered RT?
Yeah, so, yeah, these are the things that we're doing to build the reading capacity for our students. The tiered RTII is now, it used to be a walk-to model where we put the kids in tiers, tier 1 for our highest group of students, tier 2 for the strategic need a little push, and then tier 3 that need, you know, much smaller groups and extra support. It used to be a walk-to for all the tiers. Now that they're grouped for all of ELA, it is a walk-to for tier 3, where we use the 95% group materials. I'm sure that's been brought up in this, or maybe not, but those are the materials that we use. They're very good. They're direct instruction, explicit. They follow the continuum of skills. The students are making a lot of progress with that. But in addition, second grade has foundation. That's a core program that is also explicit, sequential, you know, follows everything that the students need for getting those foundational skills in place. And then everything standards aligned, state standards aligned, curriculum, common assessments, that kind of mirrors what's happening in math. So again, after school program, that covers everything, math, reading, STEAM, or I'm sorry, not the after school program, summer school program covers that. After school program, math, reading and science. And then, you know, I'm a literacy coach at Turner. Amy's a literacy coach covering down at Kelly there. And we have one interventionist in the district who's at Turner because we have the majority of the grades and more students. So.
And then the last slide is just basically what we're doing at Kelly. I work with kindergarten and first grade. It's just me. There is not an interventionist, so I'm not saying it's just me, sorry. It's myself and the teachers, of course. And we use foundations as well. And remember, they're learning to read at this time. They're you know, not reading to learn yet. That's when they get up to the next school. So we're working on the foundational skills, the phonemic awareness, the letter naming, the decoding and encoding. And we use the tiered MTSS RTI model as well, where we group them and teach to the skills that they need and progress monitor and try to move them on and out.
Good, son. Well, we still got work to do.
So where we see like when the sixth grade scores were really significantly higher, that would imply maybe there's something good's happening in fifth grade and going into sixth grade. Is there ever time in your professional development days to like share best practice or anything like that among the faculty, you know, among the teachers, like what I'm doing that's working really, really well? It's just a really naive question.
Yeah, we've done that. We do that, yes.
And they have team time.
That's why I
Yeah, they
thought.
got team time to have those discussions. And with the interventionists and the coaches, you know, coming from districts that didn't have those, I mean, we have the resources that are there. It's up to us now to make it happen. And so I think with the new math program and the trends that are going there, but I mean, we have the resources. We have the technology. We have the tools. So yeah, but we got some work to do. I did shoot Rick an email. I did this weekend. I'm just reading the paper and doing some work, but we do have our building level score, the Turner building level score. And I just wanted, I took all the charter schools that we send our kids to and compared it with our building level score. And then I sorted them from high to low. These are all the kids, and I put the number, and again, they may be off a little bit somewhere, but I took them right from the invoices that Dr. Bosick and I just went through. So there's the building level scores. And if you look down at Propel Braddock, we sent 50 kids there, and we were 8 points higher than them. And there's 29 schools on that list, and our building level scores are higher than most of those. And the ones above us, which is only 12 points above us, some of those ones above us are, you know, they got to interview, they got to get in. It's not just an acceptance. So they can, you know, kind of choose who they're going to take. We don't. We take every child.
Question, Westinghouse Arts Academy, is that the school out in Wilmerding?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
And this, if you said it, I'm sorry if you explain what it is, but what score is this?
This is the building level
And
scores
what does it?
from
building level-
PD. It looks at the growth. It looks at achievement. It looks at attendance. It's looking at
So
It
this is
used to-
for the P-bus.
It used to be called something else. What was it? It was an
I'm not sure
acronym
exactly
before.
what it was called.
It used to be called SPP.
There you
Yeah,
go.
the SPP scored that.
School performance
Oh,
program.
this SPP
The last
score.
time we looked at these, they were called SPPs. We just haven't seen data for so long.
Yeah, I know, it's just been such a long time. So
Just
first of
school
all,
performance profile.
okay, yeah.
Because
So
they
I-
haven't had an SP or a building level score for a couple years because of COVID.
Right.
So I just wanted to share that with you. I thought that was important data to show you guys.
Yes.
Definitely.
Kelly, you see this? You know, what can we gonna talk about this?
She's on it.
Things out. But I do have a question just because I think what still just really is stuck out to me is that transition for our kids from 3rd grade to 4th grade. And, you know, I'm new to this kid in school life, but what I do like that we're currently doing is the engagement that we try to bring in with our families. So we do things for, you know, I don't even, what did I
Light up
go
literacy
to?
night.
Or the pumpkin thing that we
Oh, yeah.
did where they had all the activities. What can we do in that kind of fashion for our kids and our families to come in and engage to support that transition of testing from 3rd grade to 4th grade? Because I think when you bring the families in, whatever family makeup may look like, you're pulling the parents into it to be aware. And I don't think it should look like the parents come in and sit down and listen to you all tell them what you just told us now. But what kind of activities can we do to engage our families and our students with our educators? Because you all work so hard during the day while you're at school, but how can you support the families when the kids are going home and their parents are going over things with them, or whoever is going over things with them at home? I just think that really brings a touch, and it's good to see that we do get good engagement from families. I've never come to any activity with our schools and there's not a lot of families there. I've been there when there were times there weren't enough seats. So I think if we use this kind of, I don't know what y'all can think of, because I'm not a teacher, but
It's nice to get everybody back into the buildings. for
Yes.
One, that's the biggest thing, just getting everybody back into the buildings for one. Second thing was we used to do like a math night, game night. We brought that up in a couple conversations about bringing that back again.
I would love that.
I know we do storybook forest where children take a book and they read about the book, they decorate a tree. We have that coming up with Light Up Literacy Night in both buildings in December. So there are gonna be some of those activities coming up in the buildings.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I'm just more so,
That
I'm
might be a
thinking
good
of that.
conversation for letting them know how to, what you're saying is changing that test style
Testing
too.
this test stuff.
Like what suggestions can you give a guardian, a parent, family to when the kids are coming home to be like, all right, remember, you got this test coming up and there's this different process that you're not used to, so that the parents know what language to use to talk to their kids about it.
Yeah.
I
like it.
So when we were up there at the convention, we had we said that we were switching from one tutoring program to like another one. Like we had like paper or something like that. You
No,
said
we
that
didn't have
We
paper.
switched, well,
We had our own tutors after school last year, but now we have with our after school program, we're just embedding it in that. Paper was more for, we looked at paper last year, for more for high school students.
Mhm.
Yeah. But for elementary, it's tough. A lot of schools are finding elementary tough for online tutoring programs.
Yeah.
So the more we get into our after school programs would be better, because then they're taking what they're learning during the day and extending it in the evening, which would be nice. But paper, yeah, Monica brought that up to me early last year, so we already have looked at that one.
one last thing, what are the ones that are blue highlighted?
Those are the ones that I'm not 100% sure of, like it's an application process. I'm not sure about all those, so that's not 100% accurate. I want to double check all those. So if some of them are, it's an application process.
So these are schools that we actually have at least one student enrolled in.
Yep.
All the schools on this list.
So,
Yep.
do we not have any kids at Urban Academy? Because I don't see Urban Academy, I see Urban.
We might be. I just took, you know what I did? I was
Okay.
going through the invoices that we had this
Got it.
weekend
Okay.
and was pulling them right from I don't see it. Is Urban Academy on there?
Just pathways.
So there might even be more on there.
There it is, number 19 is urban pathway.
No, I want academy.
Oh, urban academy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
There
also,
was a charter on that,
Yeah.
So.
I'm thinking of all the charter schools because, y'all know how I am when I'm out talking about Wilkinsburg.
and
So-
oh, I know, don't look at that map there, Rick. I see you probably looking at my
That's what
map
it was.
there. So I was just getting an estimate of special ed, in my own mind, special ed
Yeah.
students, regular ed students, the cost.
Nope, I get
He's
it.
probably like, man, you're way off. So, and also what I could pull from the website itself,
Right.
the PDE website.
Okay. So good. That's good information.
Yeah, so if we could, get this word out, would be nice.
Is there a way for us to compare the students that do go to the after-school program, their scores or anything like that with the other students, like look at them against those? And how many are in the after-school programs? Like what percentage of our students actually participate in the after-school program?
Probably could, be some work, but we probably. Let me write that down. It's,
We
Yeah.
can then look at what the impact of the after-school program is. I mean, it's nice to have it, but we want to know,
Right.
are they actually performing better than the whole population?
true. And I think our after-school program, I don't know, it just seems, whether it's a summer enrichment or after school, I just feel our after-school program can be very powerful.
Urban pathway, someone just put up there, 57.5.
Urban pathways or urban, no, I already have urban pathways up there.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
think-
Urban Academy, somewhere.
When PDE does, they have some real limits on how much you can disaggregate information, the reports they'll generate for you. So it would be really interesting, but we'd have to get them to generate that stuff for us. I don't think there's any way we could do it because we can't identify. Yes, we can. Maybe there is a way, yeah.
Yeah, and we can also look, we can at least know how many of our students are participating in the after-school program. And we can track that year after year to see
Mhm.
like.
Yeah, we
okay,
can do that.
Again,
Some report up.
We could probably pull some of that, 59.7 for Urban Academy. So I only went through the invoices that I had that day.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you anyway for presenting the DSSA. I know I've been asking for a long time and I'm very interested to see the PBOS scores because that's where I think, to see if we're actually adding value or growing, from place to place. We still have a lot to do, but I would hope with all the sports and everything that we have in place for this year, I'm anxious to see next year's scores.
Yeah.
And that to me will be a reflection of all the things that we've been working over the past 8 years to make happen in this district. So, thank you for all that you do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amy, Brenda, Mike, Darren, thank you so much for being here. I know you'd
Thank
love
you
to
all.
stay for the rest of the meeting, but you don't have to. But thanks a lot for everything you're doing.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you all so much.
Yep, unless you have questions for us. No, you want to get home? Yeah. I don't blame
You
you.
have everything you need.
Good night, be careful.
Everybody likes the reading in the new math program, so that's good.
Okay.
thanks, guys.
All right, so everyone received the legal update from the solicitor. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Mr. Hoffman?
No, although the first item there regarding the negotiations,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
the bargaining team did reach a tentative agreement with this professionals association. And we'll need to review that with the board in executive session. The plan is for the bargaining unit employees to vote on that, I think next Monday or Tuesday.
I think it was Monday.
If they approve it, then we would look for the board to take action on it at your legislative meeting. Thank you.
No, thank you. And Dr. Joe.
Yeah, just a couple things, for, see if it comes up here. I have it on paper, but just click on the bottom there.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to make some points. Again, I want to thank the board for supporting us a couple weeks ago, getting us through a very difficult time, getting our staff through a very difficult time, and helping a family along the way. Just to let you know, we are still in contact, as you heard tonight. I'm still in contact with the family regularly because I think the toughest part is going to be the next few weeks, next few months. And we have some things planned in place that I want to discuss with them first as well for the spring. But I just want to point out this guy, Mark Trella, contacted a friend of mine who contacted me, but just because I think I want to, they reached out and said, hey, we're willing to take care of some of the cremation services and so on. This is a guy who had a son who passed away about 6-7 years ago and started the I Love You More, the Michael Trella Foundation. And they reached out to my friends, so I reached out to them, and they were willing to do that for our family. But I thought I should at least mention that. We were talking, we have scheduled, if everyone's okay with it, to do a COVID vaccine, another clinic next Wednesday evening. And we were originally going to do a Friday, but we didn't get all the information from UPMC to make sure the signups now were all in order and the screen. And I did talk with Mrs. McClellan. She thought that would be a good night right before we leave for the break. So she was okay with doing it then, right after school. And we'll get that word out to the families, of course, and the signups, and I'm sure Kelly will take care of that. Last week I was invited, just to give you a heads up, I was invited by the local clergy to attend this Wilkinsburg Sanctuary Project for Peace, Pancakes for Peace. It was the first time they did it. I was really glad I went because it was a lot of local organizations to support the community. People that I did not even know about, resources for some of our recent high school graduates of a program, a carpentry program right down here by the church. Contacts that I didn't expect. Very powerful. It was Pastor Judy, Pastor, she's one invited me. But
She's got 2 last names.
Yeah, Burris, Janet.
So I appreciated that invite. I let her know. But we got some really great contacts, and also to help support that I didn't know that could be supportive of our family. Just lost two children. Just a PPS update because Summer's not here tonight, and Summer and Carrie kind of led all this. But the Student Envoy Project, they did have a meeting last week with the selected students. I did get that list, but they met with all the students, and it seemed like what I've heard, all positive things. That's that leadership group that we are starting at Turner. So I appreciate that.
And Jordan's actually leading it.
Oh, Jordan,
Yeah,
that's right.
Jordan's gonna
Jordan.
oversee it with.
Thank you, Jordan.
So,
It was a ball.
Yeah.
It was fun. Kelly was there.
Ball. We all had a great time.
That's good.
Awesome.
So we're really excited about that.
Awesome. Well, Carrie's looking forward to, she has to go to dance training here in another week or two for a Disney program. I went through it. I went through when I was a Turner principal. Now she has to go down to the Pittsburgh Cultural District next week and learn how to dance.
No, this week at
Sing
4
concert
o'clock
this-
on Friday.
That's right.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll be there with
She's-
Mr. Van and Miss Stewart.
Yeah, so are we gonna get any sort of a,
I don't
so-
know, I don't know, Dr. Joe, you tell me.
so-
I didn't retain a lot of information.
yeah, TikTok. Yeah, faculty follies. We want to show.
Follow Mr. Van this week.
So that's where she'll be spending her Friday night this week. They also held the magnet school application last week. I know you guys were there for that as well on Thursday evening. I heard it was a really good turnout for that.
Can I speak to that for a minute, Dr. Joe?
Sure.
We had 11 families come. It was a great turnout. We had representation from the magnet school office along with Rochella. We also had a representative there from Obama. And parents had an opportunity to actually start the application. We actually had a few applications turned in before they even left the building. So it was a great turnout, and I'm going to work with the magnet school office just to make sure if there was any documents they needed for attendance or behavioral documents that we get that uploaded. It's not required, but it will support their application. All schools except for Kappa. Kappa is the only school that requires a written portion and a portfolio. All the other schools just require the application. Obama does require a language proficiency test due to the students going into 7th grade. And Emily McMichael was there and spoke to the coordinator. So she's working it out with him on how to prepare our students for that exam.
Summer, when is the deadline for the
I'm sorry, say that again.
deadline for
I
magnet?
believe it's December 5th at 5 o'clock.
Okay, and I have another question. So our students, so this was targeted toward, for students that are at our elementary schools. Now, what about students that are Wilkinsburg district students that are attending charter schools, perhaps, for middle school and high school? Is there a way that we can send out something to those families to let them know that they have this as an option to consider maybe applying to a magnet school? Because then that would bring them back into the district. It'd be that maybe sometimes I wonder if the families realize that, or they may not be happy at the current school they're at. And so, if they realize, well, hey, maybe I have an option to apply to SciTech or Kappa or wherever, then maybe they wouldn't have considered that. But maybe if we send something out, is that a possibility? Can we do something like that?
Oh yeah, Hannah has helped me with a lot of the letters that have went out in social media. We could definitely send that out to charter schools. We have to create an account for students. So we would need to, Kelly, figure out a way. If they reached out to us, we would need to get that fictitious login, because that's the only way they can start the application. But we can definitely share that information out with charter schools.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah, we'd have to do it quick. All right.
And just because you mentioned Kappa, because I know they do have a portfolio, but I'm thinking about our students in our band classes who may be interested, or, we may have some students who are artists. Is there a way that we're able to support our kids to get a is there anything PPS has or something we can coordinate with them on to help them get portfolios together?
So Mr. Van and Miss Andrette helped support students last year that applied to Kappa. So they're currently working with a couple students that are interested in applying to Kappa. So we do have supports in the building, and they know what's required. So they're helping those families, but also meeting with the coordinator at Obama. He's also shared with them that a lot of the opportunities that students may get at Kappa and they may not get in, they can still get involved in art classes and band and such at Obama also. So families were excited about that too.
Yeah, and doesn't Kappa offer creative writing?
Yes.
So is that something that they're offering at other magnet programs if they're not into Kappa too? Because I know we always think about theater, music, dance, or whatnot, but I'm thinking about our writers, especially with those readings we just saw.
Yes, it was suggested by the magnet school office to the families that were there. And I know the 6th grade teachers have talked to the students to apply to multiple schools because there is a lot of the same things happening at different schools. So anyone that has shown an interest in writing, they've been, Jordan and Miss McClellan both went into the classrooms also and talked to students. So they've been kind of guided on what would be best for them.
Thank y'all.
And I know Miss Andrette got a crash course last year with, on that application process, what they needed for the arts.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know that's why I wish Todd was here, because when she was doing that with Gigi, it was
Yeah, it definitely was. And the last thing on PPS, if you did not see, the Westinghouse did win the District 5A championship last week, 59-7. I do know the team that they beat, and they're very good. And I think they might have moved up they were 2nd in state, they might be 1st in the state. So I think there's 2 or 3 rounds, and we do have students there. I know Ms. Garcia asked me, we get a list of students. I did request that already, so I'm just waiting on that list back, so we have that list of students
Yeah,
from Wilkinsburg. And I do know 4 of them because I ran into them coming out of practice one night. So.
Yeah, I saw they had their day in the Pittsburgh mayor's office and everything. So,
Oh, did they?
Mhm.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so it was pretty impressive. And Ms. Bogote did just let me know this morning, they thought it would be a holdup, but policy 339 is now live today on board.
Checked on it last week, and it wasn't there.
It wasn't yesterday, because she came to me yesterday, said there's a holdup because they had a change of personnel, and then she came in this morning or this afternoon, told me.
Great.
And I did check, it's on there.
Thank you.
So, that's all I have.
what's that charter?
That was what I just showed you. I just pulled it up over here.
Got it.
Yep.
All right, we are going to forego the rest of the reports for this month, right? And we'll have finance next.
No, Kelly.
Kelly's on, I'm sorry, that's right. There's a big check mark by your name. And I messed that up.
It's gonna be great.
Kelly. We know you.
I have 3 bullet points. That's all I have this time. 3 bullet points. Okay, so hi, everybody. We're going to talk a little bit briefly about the school store. I've got some good news. It will be up by Thanksgiving, so yay. We'll do like some kind of a newsletter that does your Black Friday shopping with your logo with the Wilkinsburg. So you can keep going. Right? We're moving here. Okay, so let's go back to the store. Thanks. So if you have the PowerPoint and you click on that link, it will take you to this page on our website under our schools or our district. And then from there, it will take you to where you can actually place your order. And those are the items that we will have. The Tiger logo will go on it. We'll see how this goes, and then we'll go and look at customization for classes. I think some classes might be interested in that in terms of class of 71, whatever else. So it's looking good. I know, I'm getting there. It's gonna happen. Okay, go ahead, Rick. So I don't know if you guys noticed in my reports, but for niche, our rating changed, which is great. So you can see where we compare in terms of how people view us and search for us from the other schools that are competitors. So we've had 993 views from our district, which is really incredible. I had a meeting with Niche last week. They said we are outperforming compared to other districts. She said that one of the reasons that we're outperforming is because of the constant update of information that we're placing on the sites, because there's 3 separate sites. So always updating new pictures. Anytime we have some cool things to put on there, that goes on those sites. She did say, and I hope you've seen this in the reports, we really could use some more testimonials about the district.
I need to do that.
So, you know, especially if you have children in the district, to write, you know, a testimony about how your child is performing, the experiences that you've had in the district with the educational team, the administrative team, et cetera. That would be very, very helpful, because that, again, will elevate our scores. Okay. And that's the information too. You also too, if you take the information, you take a little survey about our school district, and you get put into a drawing for $1,000 each month. They do a $1,000 drawing. So, and that can go towards your child's education or whatever you want it to go for.
Bills.
Yeah. So we do have commercials coming up through WTAE. We have 30 commercials left from our streaming contract that we have with them. I'm waiting from Marley, is the gal's name who I'm working with. She was supposed to send me over the schedule. I still have not received it. I haven't seen any of the commercials on TV yet. So hopefully we will get that this week. And once I do, I will send it to you guys so you can turn your TV on and watch our commercial one more time. And that's what I have for now.
Thank you.
Any questions?
A few.
Carrie,
I promised.
So I am going to resend out the calendar invite because I
Yes,
didn't
please.
realize that was the old one from a former director.
Yeah.
And I had a few questions because, you know, I feel like I'm always on Facebook, you know, and somebody's comments correcting them about our district. And so I'm curious if there's something that we can dive into it, I think more so in our meeting, but just something for you to start thinking about. Some additional communication to reiterate our tax rate for the county and that we are no longer the borough with the highest taxes.
Okay.
That is still something, I know we're doing everything we can. I'm curious to know what our Facebook numbers are looking like because the pictures
They're pretty
are,
high.
yeah, we are doing a really good job showing
They're pretty high.
our kids just having a good experience in our schools. And so I think from, you know, an adult perspective, investment perspective, for people who are looking for places to live, you know, someone had a status like, how are Wilkinsburg schools? And someone tagged me and I'm on their account, you know, commenting. And one of our teachers actually commented too to have some positive things to say. But these are just things.
That wasn't on our Facebook.
Just a random Facebook status
Okay.
that someone tagged me in.
Okay.
But I say that to say is that people are like those niche numbers are interesting to see how high they are, but also there's conversation still happening in the realtor space. I know that we've been intentional in trying to just reiterate that message, but
Yep.
I don't know if we need to, I don't know what we should do, but some way to continuously share that information would be helpful. So just wanted to put it out there. I should have screenshotted the status and sent it to you to show you what I was doing. I put screenshots, pictures, everything.
Can I piggyback on that? So there was, I see stuff too on social media. A lot of misinformation is out there. In fact, there was something I think I sent that I asked you about. Somebody was commenting. This was an article that went out statewide and about, you know, public education being funded by, you know, possible new government, all this stuff. And it was just this long. But the only actual school district in this whole thread mentioned was Wilkinsburg. And this was like, you know, statewide. This was something that was just on their social media, but somebody mentioned Wilkinsburg saying Wilkinsburg School District is spending $40,000 on each student and they're the lowest performing school district in the state. Those are the kind of things that are still being said and put out there. And so if there's a way, that's something that we can, you know, counter the, I mean, obviously, you know, we can't, you know, and we're not going to see every comment, you know, like that, anything like that, but there has to be a way that we can get the message out there.
When you
this
get those,
misinformation
send
that's
them
out
to
there.
me and then we can brainstorm how to handle them. If I don't know what's happening, then I don't know how to handle it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's probably the most helpful thing that we can do. And you know, truly, I mean, there are ways that we can manage that. We just need to have the conversation that's happening and then bring it to the table and we'll take care of it.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like, this was just like a random person and that was just.
Well, it's
commenting.
inaccurate too.
But it's inaccurate, and that's
Totally
why, so I
inaccurate.
wanted to know, like, well, what is the number? I think those are things that are important for all of us, you know, board representatives, we should know that. We should know the facts. We should know those things. And so, you know, how much are we spending on students and, you know, where do we, I think like knowing our school, our
Would know that
building level
information.
score, that's important so that we can say, actually, we're not the most, the, you know, number one underperforming school, whatever, scoring in the district, in the state. That's what he said in the state. So we can say, well, actually, this is our building level score, you know, compared to such and such, like, those are the things I think we all need to be equipped with, that information. So, because if we can't do it, I mean,
Yeah.
we're the school board representatives.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can.
I mean, we can, but I'm saying we need to know that information.
Well,
I
yeah.
have a file or a folder. It was a 3-page thing that we did years and years ago, just with the facts that include things like that. Just what our benefits, what the cost per student, what our taxes are, basically thing. It was just a trifold thing, and that we would hand out with Wilkinsburg School District on it. I can bring it in. I actually found it, so I could bring it in and show you, and we could do something like that with just our updated facts.
That'd be
And even
great.
if we can send that out to families, like in our newsletter or something to say, hey, because they can help spread the message too. Like, hey, families, we just want you to know how proud we are of our district. And this is why, like, look at these facts. help spread the word to your neighbors and, people that you know, because that's how the information gets around, is by word of mouth and social media, people sharing things, right? But we have to help build this sense of community pride in our district. And I think we have to arm people with the facts. That's what we need to do.
Rick?
That's what we were talking about last month with the checks and the X's with the boxes.
Right.
In the billboards.
I mean, just so too, we have to look at, when we're looking at a cost per student, we have to look at what they're factoring into that, right? Some districts and some people across the state factor their total budget, right? And some people just do instructional cost. So we have to figure out, do we want to just do instructional cost? And then you back out the charter school cost, the maintenance cost, and then, or is it just overall total cost? So those numbers fluctuate based upon what you are comparing.
We
So
probably
we
have-
could do a bunch
Like
of
an
different ways.
average or
And that's what-
something.
Rick just asked me, because as soon as I got that information, I'm like, all right, I'll start the research. PD has us, pretty high for elementary, very low for, which the high was 22, not 40.
Yeah.
And like he said, what are they factoring into that? And our low was 89 for our secondary kids because we're paying tuition. So we're nowhere near the 40 people no
Right.
school district is near.
Well, if you look at the charter school, what we're paying charter schools, that's based on the cost per student. That's a PDE formula that
Right.
is crazy.
Because they use the number for tuition to factor the tuition.
Right,
which
right, because
it's double
that's how
different.
they charge us.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a starting point, but that
It just doesn't tell the full story.
doesn't
No.
tell the
It's
full
not full
story.
context. yeah.
Because it's not in my opinion,
I mean, if you want to make it look really good, you include everything.
per student.
But if
You
wanna-
include everything,
Right,
yeah.
but if you want to be accurate and realistic, then you look at your instructional cost.
So Debbie, can you scan that document for me? If you could scan that to me.
Yep.
And then I can meet with Dr. Joe and Rick and go through those numbers and put a baseline together for you to look at.
Mhm.
And then we can tweak it any way we want to, and
Yeah.
at least you'll have something as an arsenal to respond to social media. My suggestion would be, however, to bring it to Dr. Joe and to me and to Ed to look at it first before you press send, just so that we're crafting the message that we want to relay within the district. I mean, that would be my suggestion.
And Kelly left a couple things out. Today, we did have a class of 1971 present us a check. So she left that out because this is her
Well,
deal.
it wasn't in the PowerPoint.
I was
She's
only
trying to keep it quick.
three
She
points.
emailed us. She emailed us.
So, and we did have the Lewis family came in, and I don't know how many shoes there
Oh
were
my
there.
gosh.
So,
Both
I
schools.
know she did mention that, but those were her initiatives. So, I just want to put that out. They both went off very well today. So appreciate that. And I also want to, one last shout out to this group here and some of the people some of the admin team that aren't here. That week that I would discuss, the tough week, I wouldn't be able to do without these four and the people that, Summer and the other counselors and everybody, that group that we met early on Sunday morning when I know there was a lot going on in their lives. So it was a team effort. And I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And it was handled really, really, I think, as well as it possibly could have been. So thank you. You made us all feel as good as we could feel under the circumstances.
And I did thank them today, but the school districts, Woodland Hills Superintendent, Duquesne Superintendent, McKeesport Superintendent, and Penn Hills Did I say that one already? Penn Hills, Duquesne, and Woodland Hills, where they immediately responded to us for school psychologists and school counselors. I want to thank those superintendents. Quickly, they responded. So,
Who were Penn Hills, Woodland Hills, Duquesne?
Sent,
McKeesport,
and
you
and
said?
McKeesport checked in to see if we needed anything. So, and they were there Monday morning
They were,
at both
and they were
schools.
very helpful. They were needed and they were helpful, so. Okay,
Thank you,
I'm
guys.
pulling away.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kelly.
And I'll get the calendar invite out for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And Deb, you'll have a finance report next week. I have some comments on that, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Next week, we will vote on the minutes. Please check them out. Section 4 there. Instructional staff, we have just one item here, Dr. Joe.
Yes, we'll be requesting to approve Laura Cole and Darren Cole for an unpaid leave day on December 22nd, 2022. For non-instructional staff, we'll be asking to approve the resignation of Shalina Snell, pre-K lunch aide, effective October 26, 2022. I don't think she had showed up. She never attended, right?
She never showed up at one day. I'm sorry, one day.
Oh, yeah.
That's like happening
Give her
everywhere.
credit for that one.
One day. Yeah, $13 you got.
We would like to leave the two next sections open for a possible school psychologist and a possible social worker. We're still interviewing, still going through. I can tell you right now, school psychologist is a ton of people looking for them. Even just today, I found out there's 200 and some paraprofessional openings in the county right now, and a lot of special ed teacher openings in the county. So, so we want to leave those as a whole in case we might have a recommendation.
And when we
What
get to,
positions do we have open? That we're looking to fill?
Well, we said, we left the paraprofessionals opening because of the constant, and we have spots for them. So we have positions there. We're debating on whether filling a maintenance position if somebody resigned, depending on whether we decide to contract for certain things, if we need that position or
But
not.
all teachers are.
Yeah, I believe all teachers are there, and we have long-term sub, yeah.
Okay.
so
So,
last week when we did the little quick debrief on the scores, we also talked about adding classroom aides, paraprofessionals to third grade, because that would be a key spot. Isn't that what we talked about?
third or fourth
Possibly
grade,
looking
yeah.
at that third and
So
fourth
if we
grade.
get more,
to
it's
push
not
in
gonna
there.
be. Well, no, we did talk about that, because we really thought about it. When you think about it, it's those third and fourth grades that got hit
Yeah.
with the COVID years. Those kindergarten and first graders, so, and Summer brought that to our attention. And it was like, oh, that makes sense. So, so that's where we're at. And we still have outstanding that we're a behavior specialist position. We're still working through. So, but that's it. Oh, an HR director. HR director. So, and we already have 16 applicants for that, and we'll already set up interviews for those.
Right.
All right. So we threw all that, the non-instructional staff ones?
Yeah.
All right, so there was no joint tax committee meeting this month again. So I might have something.
It'll be next week, right?
Yeah, but I was talking about that last one. There wasn't one last month either. There would be one next week. Yeah, I'll find out on Friday. Forbes Road, Michael?
Oh, well, I was gonna present next.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, and actually there's an Eastern Area Schools meeting this Thursday also. There was an executive session meeting the other day talking about I think an adjusted salary for the secretary there. And of course, there's the executive session talk about litigation, you know what I mean, with certain other districts. They are looking at Gateway School District has one floor of a newly renovated building that they're not using. And so they have reached out to say, this might be a new location for Sunrise. So they are, the intermediate unit was going to send a team over to check that out, find out how much money would have to be put into it if they decided to move out of that building with the leaky roof and then move into a new space that would be on Gateway's campus. So there is, at least there's some stuff happening there to try to save that facility.
With all the money that they have from the insurance to.
I don't, none of that's worked out
Maybe you
yet.
still have to fix the roof to try to sell the building.
Sure.
I mean, you can't, you know.
Yeah, we still have ours.
Yeah, I mean, but they got like almost $500,000 from the,
From the,
I say from, not from the insurance, from the contractors.
I don't know them.
Yeah,
Not-
they did.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, we're not that far yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, my Forbes Road thing was, I actually did bring the notes. I started writing them down on my phone. It was, if you just want it now, it's not
Sure.
a lot of highlights to it. It was a 35-minute meeting. They're upgrading the HVAC system there. $25,000 for the roof. October 4th through the 5th was Discovery Day for new teachers. Teachers Reciprocity Program has been enacted to hire teachers from other states easier. And that was it. Yeah, it was a pretty short meeting.
Okay. I like 35 minutes.
And they're gonna have, another meeting think last Thursday of the month.
Well, and in December, they'll probably have the dinner. I don't know if they've mentioned that to you yet, but the culinary program puts on a really big spread dinner, and they'll invite you. Yeah, and you bring a guest. Yeah, it's usually pretty nice.
Okay.
Thanks for that, Michael. Let's see. Dennis, next week you'll read us the treasurer's report, and we can vote on that. And a couple items here under finance. Rick, do you want to do the Act One?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. We'll just. Yeah, you don't have to read it yet.
Yeah.
But you can tell us everybody what it is in case they don't know.
Act One, we've discussed this at Finance. Act One resolution to adopt the resolution that says we're not going to raise our taxes above the index for this year, coming year. This is something we have to pass unless we want to adopt an earlier budget.
I think the rest of these are yours too, Rick.
Yeah. Joint purchasing. This is just our typical process that we go through with the AIU to purchase electricity, gas, paper products, or anything that might come up throughout the year through the IU as they put it out for bid with all those 42 participating school districts. The Act 57 resolution.
Can I ask a question on that resolution? Shouldn't it be filled out? Right now, it's just the template. Doesn't say Wilkinsburg in it or anything. It's just a template.
Okay. Okay, yep, I'll take care of that tomorrow. Act 57, I received this from our solicitor, Mr. Hoffman, to have the Wilkinsburg School District approve any additional charges for real estate taxes if the taxpayer fails to receive his tax notice. So this basically is only for like new homeowners when they're.
No new people that purchase.
Right.
And it's required by statute, so.
And then we'll notify Berkheimer.
This would be actually your, Berkheimer, I'm sorry, and your elected tax collectors.
Yeah. This is more of an informational thing. There's nothing really to vote on here. This is again from Matt's office and one of his associates here, John Vogel, on the common level ratio changing with the Allegheny County from 81% to 63%. It's just informational. And again, we discussed this at Finance.
Questions on it? You're on a roll because you have some policy things coming up next.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I know.
Second readings for the policies, 610, 611, and 625. Kind of take a look at 610. We updated that since the last board meeting. Matt gave us some input. I believe on this version, it's going to be in red, what we added. And if you could take a look at that for next week to pass that. Okay.
We'll be requesting the board to accept the donation of the uniforms for all students grades K through 6 from the GFS Market and the Lewis family and all other other donations. Donations we set up through the Donors Choose. We did check with Matt just to make sure this was okay to do this. Donations will be valued at approximately $25 to $30 per uniform.
Here's one of the shirts. They can put it on. For the kids.
Nice.
Nice. And that's going to be for all students.
That's what they're looking to do.
Wow.
It should be between they figured it out today. It's probably $15,000.
Nice. That's great. Wow. Yeah,
You
we'll
know
have to
when they're
find,
going to get, the students will get them?
My hope is the beginning of the year.
Okay.
That's my hope.
we'll have to find some way to thank them, at least some kind of a resolution we can pass or something like that, a special resolution to thank them.
Yeah, and just
Invite them to a board meeting?
GFS also
Huh?
dropped off.
Yeah, to do a presentation.
Yeah, we can invite them to a board meeting maybe?
Yeah,
They-
absolutely.
GFS also dropped off probably a couple $1,000 worth of snacks today for our shoe carnival tomorrow and at Kelly the following day. So they really seem to have embraced us.
What's the connection? Do we know?
Well, yes, I do know. Scott Lewis, who is our benefactor for Samaritan's Fee, and what is he lived in Wilkinsburg. His family still has family there. He is the one that has initiated a lot of these partnerships.
and they are intrigued with the things that he's doing, and he just keeps lassoing more and more people to embrace what we do in Wilkinsburg. He is probably our biggest cheerleader. That's what we should get him, is a compost, because he asks about how to see the mind and the authorship program, and he asks about the music program. He's so intrigued that we have 116 kids playing instruments. He's just so enamored with the kids came through the hallways and they saw the shoes and they're like, oh my goodness, it's shoe day tomorrow. And he got tears in his eyes today when the kids were walking around because they remember getting shoes last year and this year. So they flew in from South Carolina. They're here. So if you're in the buildings or want to come to the buildings tomorrow,
Did you graduate from here?
he did not graduate from Wilkinsburg High School. He went to a private school, but his sister did graduate, and she will be there tomorrow. So and she has numerous friends. What they do instead of giving Christmas presents is they donate to Wilkinsburg students every Christmas. And so this has just been building and building and building, and just getting bigger and bigger. So they are, if you have time and you want to come and meet them or talk to them,
What time?
They'll be at Turner tomorrow, all day at Turner tomorrow.
Okay.
They can't stay to be at Kelly, but they will be at Turner tomorrow. Last year, they donated the shoes just to Turner. This year, it's Turner and Kelly. And now we're talking about uniforms too. So
It's awesome.
it's really
So if you
cool.
guys want to stop by tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll try to do that. That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. I think you have a couple more items here, maybe.
Yeah, board action is requested to approve the purchase and installation of additional cameras for the administration building and Kelly Primary, per the attached proposal at a cost not to exceed $12,168. It'd be paid for from that PCCD grant that we talked about. And also we'll be requesting to approve the contract renewal with TransPerfect Telephone Interpretation Services, effective February 2023 through February 10, 2024 at a cost of 95 cents per minute, an annual fee of $120, and video translation services, including ASL, are also available to consortium members at a rate of $3.25 per minute, to be paid for from the general fund. Whew, that was a tough one. Yeah. So that's when we have families coming from other countries, we'll be able to communicate with them. And even it'll take our documents and so on.
And the last one there is to approve the agreement for title fund